Actually, guys, can you give me 1 minute? Can I take that call?
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Mike and I are ready to do this podcast with Gerald, and he walks away. Too big, too important for talking to Mike and I. I get it. It's good to be the Gerald, I guess, but
All right, sorry about that.
no problem.
Welcome to a very special episode of Squat Cobbler, episode 100.
Hey there, Dr. Stinky Pants. We're not quite at 100. We're close, but we're not quite there yet, so you can...
All right, well, I'm less excited now. Do you just want to do like a regular recommendation show then, if we're not doing our big 100th spectacular?
I'm prepared to do so.
All right, I guess we can do that. So I'm Dr. Mike, and joining me, as always...
Hi, everybody. This is Kelly at KELLYTHUL on Twitter and Instagram.
Oh, God, I didn't even do my social media. We are terrible at this.
Don't say we. Don't say we.
True, yeah, you killed it. So I'm Dr. Mike at Official Pagan on everything. And as long as we're telling you guys where to find us, why don't you like and subscribe once you're there?
There you go. The good recovery there.
Nailing it. So we're going to do the recommendations today. Did you want me to go first, Kelly?
That would be swell, Mike.
Okay, so mine's relatively short, and whenever we say that, you guys know what happens. So, Kelly, are you a bukkake porn guy? I'm just kidding. That's a little callback to Kelly's tirade from the last episode of Filth.
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
That's exactly how that went down. I was trying to give a good, wholesome recommendation of some classic TV music, and then you came in with, and I apologize to everyone for repeating this, but I didn't say this, Kelly did, Unswallowed Mysteries.
I think, if you say it in French, I think it sounds okay.
Well, I figured, I gave a sort of TV-related recommendation last time, so I'll give a sort of movie-related recommendation this time. So, as you guys know from us talking a little bit on the show about it, I am now a medical doctor. I have taken over a practice from a retired doctor, and I would say more than amply have stepped into his shoes and filled in for his patients.
I really don't think you know how this doctor thing works. I really don't.
I feel like I'm getting it down. There's a lot of nudity involved, which I'm on board with.
Of course you are.
I'm getting it, though. I'm getting the hang of it. The learning curve was steep. I understand why some people go the medical school route, because those first couple days were rough. But now I feel like I got this.
Okay.
I am a doctor. I don't care what you say, Kelly. I don't care what Corey's sister says. I'm a real doctor. So anyway...
I think it's there's trust falls. Mike does trust exams, and I think that's the big problem right now. People are not a big fan of those.
Hey, when you come here, Kelly, you're going to have to let me do a trust exam. Trust me, you will leave a better man for it.
Skeptical, but continue.
So, obviously, one of the things that comes to mind when anyone talks about doctors, and especially me as a medical professional who's in the field, one of the things that comes to mind is the classic piece of American cinema, Dr. Giggles.
So I'm familiar with the name, and I think as you tell me a little bit more, I don't think I've ever made my way all the way through this masterpiece, but I think I'm a little familiar.
Masterpiece of American cinema, Dr. Giggles. So Dr. Giggles was an early 90s slasher movie. 1992 is when it came out. It's actually not my recommendation, but it's the story of how the recommendation came out.
Wow, this is like a stealth tangent. Well played.
It's undercover tangent.
Okay.
So Dr. Giggles came out in 1992. And if you remember, I guess slasher movies have always been kind of a thing for decades now, but particularly in the late 80s and early 90s, slasher movies really had their renaissance with all of the major characters, and every studio was trying to jump in and create an iconic slasher movie character. And the production company or studio that was behind Dr. Giggles, I guess, really thought they nailed it. With this one. This movie was heavily marketed, and I would say marketed well. I distinctly remember the marketing and advertising for this everywhere. There was even a Marvel Comics tie-in starring Dr. Giggles. They went all out. But just with the first movie, this isn't like an already tested franchise at that point, like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. No, this is one movie just releasing where they were like, we're going to do all of the merchandising and this thing is just going to be huge. That's how it's going to be. There's a Marvel Comics Dr. Giggles tie-in. There was merchandise and all kinds of stuff. And then, of course, Dr. Giggles came out and didn't exactly set the cinematic world on fire. But you've heard of it. So that's, but it didn't exactly, fall in line with the Freddys and Jasons.
Yeah, I mean, heard of it's about the best I can do here.
Yeah, and that's, I think for a lot of people, like people are vaguely aware that this existed at best. I think a much smaller, narrower group of people have actually seen it. I will say, I remember seeing it even back then. I will say it's a good movie. It's a well-made movie. It's funny. It hits all the slasher movie marks you expect it to. The Dr. Giggles character is kind of an interesting character, and they do give him a big backstory right away because, again, they were franchise on their mind. So they were like, let's just set up his whole backstory now because how would we not be making these forever? And then, of course, that didn't happen. There's a lot of Dr. Giggle stuff out there. And unfortunately, it all kind of dried up and disappeared because there was never a sequel made because the movie wasn't successful enough, which is a little bit of a shame. You should go out and see it. It's not my actual recommendation. So when I've been joking around with my friends since taking over this doctor's office that, we're going to get different. So they took a lot of the medical equipment with them when they moved everything out of here.
So not cool. I
know, right? And we are going to be remodeling over the years and things like that. Like we're already making big changes to the place. So we moved into this doctor's office. I liked Dr. Giggles. I remember the movie. One of the things we've been hoping to do, and the example I was giving, the room that I'm standing in now was actually a physical therapy room. This is where patients would come in to, stretch and exercise and different things like this. So it's a little bit more of an open space. So this is being turned into the main recording studio room.
Okay, wait, time out. Here's a tip, Mike. You may not be a doctor if when you describe a physical therapy room, it's probably a room where they stretch and do things.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem robust to me, but continue.
When you're good at something, you don't do it for free. I'm not giving away all the tricks of the trade, Kelly.
Oh, now I get it. Continue.
You have to come and pay for the exam if you want all that. It's cheap, people. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You do have to sign a waiver, though, that maybe somewhere on there says I'm not an actual doctor.
And you take Bitcoin, right?
Yeah. I'm one of the few doctors that takes Bitcoin. It's the preferred currency for transactions here. So as we make changes to this place, and eventually, we'll knock down some walls, rearrange some things, because as the property is set up now, it's mostly a bunch of offices and exam rooms. So as we make changes to things, we want to do things that sort of keep the general character of the building, though. So we want things intentionally to remain, certain things to remain intact, to remind you that this was once a doctor's office, even as we change it in other things, like a recording studio and an arcade, all that kind of fun stuff. So like one of the things, for example, there's a room in the back that was the main doctor's office, and that is a sign on the door that says doctor's office. There's restroom signs on the bathrooms, things like that. We're keeping all that kind of stuff. One of the things, though, I love the doctor's office sign, but I wanted something. We were thinking about picking up other things that would kind of accent the medical aspect of this. Maybe some old medical equipment or x-rays to hang up on the walls and things like that. So I was talking about slasher movies with somebody, and somebody said to me, you should get something like Dr. Giggles related. I somewhere have at least one issue of the Marvel Comics Dr. Giggles tie-in. I would have to dig it up somewhere, but I started looking around online, and on Amazon, there are Dr. Giggles posters, and they're not cheap. These are reprint posters, and they're not cheap. They were like $20 to $40. And while I do like the movie, the posters were okay. I was looking for something that was more like interesting with a story behind it and a little bit of history behind it. So that same friend suggested that I check out movieposter.com, which is my actual recommendation. So I'm familiar with this site. They sell movie posters as their.
For those of you keeping score at home, we're at about the 12-minute mark before Mike gets to his recommendation. Continue.
That's my recommendation. But this is all part of the recommendation, sir. That's how it works. This is the short one, I told you. Yeah. So I just got right to the point. Laser-like focus. So movieposter.com is a site that I was aware of. Obviously, they sell movie posters. I had never done any kind of business there, though, so I wouldn't have recommended it had I not used it, had I not been familiar with it. Now, what's interesting about it is they do have some older stuff on there. There is reprints, but you can pick up original posters from theaters, from things there. And in the cases of original posters, it does describe on there, obviously they're priced accordingly. The more obscure what you're looking for, the more original what you're looking for, you're going to pay more for it. It's not necessarily a cheap site, but I was able to find an original 1992 Dr. Giggles theatrical poster, and I ordered it. It was actually cheaper than the reprints that were on Amazon. So I ordered the poster. Not really sure what to expect. I had never done business with them before. I'm always kind of, reluctant for certain types of things. The poster arrived. I was excited. It was packaged really well. I've had some posters on. I don't like ordering posters because I've had so many come damaged that at this point I feel like it's almost not worth it. I don't understand why people can't roll things up and put them in those cardboard tubes properly. But this looked like it was packaged well, so I was excited. Opened it up. It is a for real 1992 giant Dr. Giggles poster. It is the double-sided print as those old theatrical posters were. Nice thick stock for it. No real issues with it whatsoever. It's not bent. It's not torn. I immediately framed it, hung it right next to the doctor's office door with the sign on it that says doctor's office. So I love it. I have a lot of weird posters. I have a lot of, I think we discussed briefly on the show before, I have a lot of original concert posters. Like I have a poster from Black Sabbath's first tour in the US, the actual poster. And I actually have a later reprint of the same poster, but I have the original actual poster, different things like that. So it was really cool to be able to pick up this original theatrical poster for a reasonable price and get to hang that up. And I have a lot of other movie posters that are going to be going up around here. One of these rooms will be turned into a home theater room at some point. Kelly and I have actually discussed that off camera. I got some recommendations for projectors from him. So next to that door now is a Dr. Giggles poster. Ever since then, I've been perusing the site. I found like 15 other posters that I want to buy. So I'm going to be spending a lot of money on this site in the coming months to decorate this place. So my recommendation is that everybody go to movieposter.com, pick something up, and they should probably send us free stuff.
I think they should absolutely as well. Hey, and so can you do me a favor? One, if you can get a picture of the Dr. Giggles poster, that'd be good for the blog post. And while you're at it, and you have the camera out, and you've done the picture of Dr. Giggles, why don't you take a picture of that Nikki Bilderback poster you promised to set up? Because I want to send that to her as well, because I just want to kind of give her an update on the status on that. So
actually, I was going to reach out to her because I've been looking for a poster with her in it. So I need to find either a poster with her on it, or we're going to have to get a special picture done that I can use as the poster and have that printed out as a poster to put up in here.
You might be able to go to your recommendation and look at Bring It On. And my guess is she's going to be present on that poster.
If she's present in it, that's close enough.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, I would still prefer my own personal poster.
Yeah, it's a good angle. I like it. It's good. Well played. We'll go ahead and move on to my recommendation, which, as you go, in quotes, get your Nikki Bilderback poster, which is probably never going to show up, Nikki, by the way. But when you get that poster, why don't you also do a search on a Duel, Duel, and see if there's a movie poster out for that, because that's my recommendation for this week. We always like to keep our recommendations timely here on Squat Cobbler, so Duel was a movie released in 1971. And so that's my recommendation for this week. It is, and I'll include it in the blog post. The full version of Duel is available for you on YouTube with no commercials, uninterrupted, and you can enjoy it in all of its glory. And Duel is the story, much like Squat Cobbler, of a guy who seems like a nice guy, just trying to get along, has some troubles, talks to himself a lot, who gets tormented by an evil man who likely has a porn addiction and bodies buried in his basement in a big truck. And the parallels between Squat Cobbler and Duel are strong, I think, for one. But it is this basic idea of a guy on the road and a truck driver who cuts him off, and they kind of go back and forth. And it's just this ongoing process of him thinking he got away from the truck driver showing up. Again, what's really cool is you never see the truck driver Spoiler, it's Mike. But you never see the truck driver. But it was Steven. I think this was actually one of Steven Spielberg's earliest movies. So he directed it. It is cinematically kind of cool. It is a 1971 movie, so it's gonna be reflected in the vehicles you see and all of that. But there's all kinds of interesting little subtleties to it. Like while you never see the truck driver, you start to get an idea that this might not be his first rodeo at running somebody down, because the front of his truck is festooned. By the way, I think this is the first use of the word festoon on Squat Cobbler, so we should probably...
No, we've definitely said fisted on here before.
Festooned.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I misheard you.
No, and we haven't said fisted until just now.
Now
we have. Okay, happy. But it is decorated with numbers of license plates from all sorts of different states. So it might be kind of his kill list as he's taking people out in different states. They also chose, and this is going to suck, a Peterbilt truck. Go ahead, Mike. Get it out of your system. You got anything you want to say?
I have nothing
okay,
to say.
Really? Oh, I'm shocked. Because the front of that truck actually kind of looked like a human face, and so that kind of became kind of the character on that. But Dennis Weaver plays me in the movie. We do the Squat Cobbler parallel, and he's the guy that kind of gets running me. And none of our listeners will remember Dennis Weaver from McCloud and all these other things, but he does a nice job. It is a really cool, interesting thing. I had forgotten about it, and I just stumbled across it recently, and I said, this is really a kind of enjoyable, suspenseful, well-crafted thing, and you can kind of see this as early Steven Spielberg working through his kind of cuts on how he's going to approach things in the future. So you got a young, upcoming director who's going to obviously have a huge impact on the cinema coming up. You got a great storyline, and it's just actually kind of a fun, nice, suspenseful thing. It does kind of feel like you're watching an episode of Columbo, another reference that's probably nobody's going to get. It's just got that kind of thing, but that's the time it was shot. But Duel, starring Dennis Weaver and Mike Walensky, is my recommendation for this week.
I'm the guy in the
Nope
truck, right?
Yeah. You got to finish the job here. You've talked about the
Nope
truck. What does the
Nope
truck hook up to, Mike?
I don't know, Kelly. What does it hook up to?
Hooks up to a
Squirrel
wagon. Of course it does.
Kelly, this is a family show.
Make it.
It's been you leading us down this road this whole episode.
Yeah, I'm saying Peterbilt. I know, it's terrible.
The record will speak for itself.
Yeah, something like that.
So I have seen Duel before.
I'll be interested to see if there's something on movieposters.com for Duel. That'd be cool.
Actually, I'm going to look now. We can do this live because I've sent you, because I put so much effort and work into this. I've already sent you a picture of the Dr. Giggles poster hanging beside the doctor's office door.
Sweet.
But let me go over to movieposter.com and we'll see if there's a Duel poster.
Yeah. The clicking you hear is Mike clearing his search history, going and entering this, because it's habit at this point.
My dad was over, so it's just Asian amputee girls. That's what my dad's into, by the way.
Okay.
Just in case you were wondering.
No, hadn't crossed my mind, but.
Well, I mean, the squatties already know what I'm into.
Yes, they do. So it's good to get the whole Mike family history of porn preferences, so that's helpful.
You're welcome.
So is that a steam-powered search that you got to run, or can you?
So, I was a little bit confused by what I'm seeing. So it looks like they do, but it's international posters. So I was like, is this the right movie? So I had to click on the posters to make them larger to check the credits.
Well, and I'm a little unclear. So while Mike over-prepares, does a fantastic job, I tend to just show up. And so I probably didn't do sufficient of homework. I have a hunch that Duel may have been a made-for-TV movie in the United States, and then the international release would have been, because they don't have TVs internationally, would have been made as a cinema. So
yes, it actually was a TV movie here. There are some interesting posters for it, though, and they're not cheap. So for the Duel fans out there who are looking for it, I'm seeing at least 4 different posters that they're offering, and they're all in the $50 to $60 range. Some interesting posters, though. One looks very Monty Python inspired. That was the first one that I noticed, and I was like, could this be the same movie? It is.
When you say Monty Python inspired, how do you get there?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
And then you can describe it to the squatties.
Well, yeah, by dropping it in the blog post. We'll do it that way. Again,
I mean,
folks,
you
I
should
just
describe it to
show
him
up.
yourself.
I just show up and
Yeah. Come on, people. I'm sending him the picture right now, and he can't describe it to you. Who really does the work around here? Sure, every once in a while I've said something that was vaguely off color.
All right, so I'm looking here. Hang on a sec. Oh, there's a Dr. Giggles one. I don't see the other one.
It's not there yet.
Okay.
Apparently it didn't save.
So you were lying to the squatties about you had sent it to me. That looks, by the way, the Dr. Giggles poster looks great, folks. So you're gonna enjoy seeing that photos.
Yeah, I'm really my concern with it was, especially with it being an original poster, what kind of state this poster would be in. It looks great. Now, some of the posters are not in the best condition, but it gives you, if it's an original poster, they give you descriptors on what condition it's in. So it'll say something like maybe a tear in the corner or the poster was folded at some point, things along those lines.
So Duel must be German, maybe? I don't know on that. But yeah, so it is, Mike's right. It's very Monty Python-esque because you have what would definitely look like a Terry Gilliam drawn dragon underneath a oversized, exaggerated truck, and a tiny little car with eyes, and it's absolutely Monty Python-esque. So you got a car with eyes. It does look like a Terry Gilliam drawing. I give you that on that completely. I don't think that's a Peterbilt. Thought I'd give you a little clip there, Mike, to enjoy. But
I appreciate that.
But
so this is actually the Swedish poster. I'm reading the descriptor now on movieposter.com. This is the Swedish poster.
Oh.
And if anybody's interested when they see this, you can pick this up for the current asking price of $54.99.
Sweet. Okay, we'll add that to the blog post too. Excellent. Well, do you have, before we wrap things up for tonight, Mike, do you have a social media recommendation?
Well, since we talked about one of my close personal friends and an incredible actress, Nikki Bilderback, obviously she's my social media recommendation.
Okay, Mike, if you don't have one, that's fine. This is the power of being able to edit the podcast, so we'll do that. I'm just going to, in blatant self-promotion again, highly recommend folks on Twitter and Instagram regularly search on the hashtag pun of the day, and you'll get amateurs providing pun of the days, but you'll also get my input. It's starting to get hard every day to put one of these out, but I'm continuing to try, so do a search on pun of the day, Instagram, Twitter. And
before we let you guys go, please sample Kelly saying it's starting to get hard and do something with it.
Yeah, great. Yeah, okay. And on that note, I'm going to say, please, as a reminder, as Mike mentioned earlier, if you get a chance to go to YouTube/KELLYTHUL, do a search on that. Subscribe, hit the notification button. You'll get the information when the gently edited versions of the podcast go out. If you want to get them in their raw glory, you can go to the blog and you'll get everything that was said. And but please get together with us on YouTube, because it's a really good way for us to kind of keep track on what people like and what they're connecting with and all that. So that's all I have for this week. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
So it's
All right, I'm going to stop the broadcast.